Hi, this is Katie from KT and the Squid. In this video, I'm going to attempt to design something in yarn that my 13-year-old daughter picked out. If you're new to my channel and you like things all crochet and yarn related, be sure to subscribe. So a while ago, I was on We Crochet's website and I just had this idea. I gave my 13-year-old daughter, who is actually the squid of KT and the Squid, I gave her my computer and I told her to pick out some yarn, and I told her that I would make something out of the yarn that she picked, but not to tell me what she picked. So basically it's a surprise box of yarn. I haven't opened it yet. It's been sitting here in my office for about a week. So I'm excited to get it opened and see what she bought. So basically I just went onto We Crochet's website. I opened up the page where you can find all their yarn lines. I turned the computer around and I gave it to her and I said, pick a yarn, any yarn line. And so she went to the yarn line that she picked, and then I told her to pick as many or as little colors as she wants. And so basically all I know is she picked 3 colors. Because she knows a little bit how to crochet, but she has no idea how much yarn one would need for a design. So she told me she picked 3 colors, and I said, well, I'll just get 3 skeins of each color. So I know that I have 9 skeins of yarn. I just have no idea what they are. So I'm going to open the box, and this is going to be a surprise, and then I'm going to try and figure out something to design with it. So here's the box. It's pretty big-ish. She did open it. She kind of peeked inside to make sure that it was the right yarn so that I didn't accidentally open the wrong thing. Just tear that open. Okay. Okay. So this is not something that I would have chosen, but knowing my daughter, I get it. So she chose fable fur. So this is like a faux fur yarn, which I've used a few times, but I've only really designed one thing in it. So I'm gonna have to really rack my brain to figure out something to make. So I'm going to turn the camera around and I'll give you a little bit better look of what I got. So here are the yarns that she picked out. Like I said, it's fable fur. This yarn is a super bulky weight, and it's 71 yards per skein, and it's 100% polyester. So right now I have absolutely no idea what I'm going to make with this, but I'll show you the colors. So this is Topo, which is a nice light blue color. Corvo, which is, it looks like black to me. And then we have Andesite. I hope I'm saying these names right, which is just like a nice basic gray. So I think the color combination is nice. I'm just not quite sure what I'm gonna do with this. I have designed a pillow. I've actually only made pillows using this yarn. So I designed one pillow and then I made a pillow with stitched together for a crochet along that we did. And so the only thing that's coming to mind right now is a pillow, but I'm wondering what she was thinking. So I might have a chat with her and see if she had anything in mind to make with this. The only other thing that I'm thinking is maybe like a rug for her room, or she likes to kind of cuddle up in blankets and stuff. So I'm thinking either a pillow, a rug, or maybe like a blanket or something. So I'm gonna rack my brain, I'm gonna talk to my daughter, and I will come back with an idea of what to make with this. So I talked to my daughter about the yarn that she chose, and at first she kind of laughed, like she thought she was funny because she picked the most un-yarny yarn that she could find. But the joke's on her, because what I made was actually a huge hit around the house, and I'm making one for everybody else because they've all asked for one. So I talked to her to get some ideas about what to make, and she basically said she thought a blanket would be really cool, but she didn't think that there would be enough yarn. And I'm like, well, that's no problem. I'll just order more yarn. So I ended up ordering more yarn, and this is what I made. So it's just a simple 3-stripe blanket. Well, it's a three color stripe blanket. There's only 2 rows that repeat. And while I was making it, every kid individually came up to me and asked if they could have one. So I'm going to be making 3 more of these. So I really like that this project was super quick. I started it on a Friday afternoon and I finished it on a Sunday afternoon. So, and I didn't even like work on it constantly. Like I took breaks and I did other things. So this project works up really quick. It's a very beginner friendly project. However, the yarn is not very beginner friendly. So if this is like one of your first, if you're looking at this for one of your first crochet patterns to try, I mean, the pattern is probably good for a beginner, but I wouldn't recommend just jumping into using this yarn. So the problem is, because it's so fuzzy, you can't see your stitches, and so a lot of it you have to do by feel, and it's hard to do it by feel if you're not really familiar with the anatomy of stitches. So I'm going to show you how I made this blanket. I'll also type up the pattern and put it on my blog as well as in a PDF if you'd like it. But honestly, you probably don't even need that. You can just follow the video that I'm going to show. It's really super simple and it works up really quick. So I hope you guys enjoy it. So for this blanket, you will need 4 skeins of each color in the Fable Fur. So that's 12 skeins total. And I am using a 12mm hook from Clover, and this is available through We Crochet, so I'll link to where you can find this hook. Throughout the blanket, you will be striping through the 3 colors. So you'll do color A, color B, color C, color A, B, C, and continue on and on. So to start the blanket, you'll start with your first color. And for the actual blanket, you will chain 63, but for this video, I'm just going to chain 10. So for row 1, you are going to work a row of single crochets. And this is where it gets a little bit tricky because if you look, you can't really see where the chains are, especially because this color is black, so you can't really see anything. So what I do it all by feel. So I can tell that right here is where my first chain is because that's where my yarn is coming out and I can feel where that hole is. So then I'm just going to slide my fingers down and I can feel where the next hole is. So it doesn't really matter where in the chain you go. It doesn't matter if it's the back loop, the front loop, the back loop, the front loop, or the back bump. It doesn't really matter just because you're not going to be able to see once it's done if it's twisted or anything. So just find where the next hole is and do your first single crochet there. And then again, I just slide my finger down and then I can feel where that next hole is. And again, you can see where you just did your last stitch. You can kind of, well, you can't really see it. You can feel it. And then you just slide your finger down and find the next hole and do your single crochet. So for the blanket, since you had 63 chains, your first single crochet will go into the second chain from your hook. And then you'll single crochet all the way across, so you'll end up with 62 stitches, and that'll be the stitch count throughout the blanket. And then you can kind of tell where the last one is just because there's not any more fabric left. So you can, if you need to, you can. Counting your stitches is a little hard too. That's also something you have to do by feel. So if you need to count your stitches, you will have to do that by feel. So actually, I'm not going to finish off this last stitch because I'm going to start with a new color. So when I get to the last stitch, I'm not going to pull through to complete the very last stitch. I'm going to leave both loops on my hook, and I'm going to complete the last single crochet with the next color. So I'm just going to pull up a loop with the new color, and then the next row is going to be all double crochet. So I'm going to start with a chain 2, but when I chain 2, I want to, because we're not going to fasten off our colors as we change. As I chain 2, I want to wrap the old color in the new color and chain around it. And then I'll wrap it the other way and chain around it. That way we don't have a weird float hanging out on the side. So we're kind of wrapping it in the chain and kind of hiding that float in there. So now I'm going to turn, and it's the same kind of thing where you can feel where this first stitch is, so that chain 2 doesn't count as a stitch. So you just feel where the first hole is, and that's where you'll work your first double crochet. And then I'm going to kind of slide my finger down again and feel where that next hole is, and I'll work another double crochet, and so on all the way across. So a lot of this is just by feel, since you can't see those stitches. And you do want to make sure that because of the anatomy of a single crochet, there's 2 holes here. You want to make sure you're going into that top hole. So the double crochet rows are a little bit easier to count. So if you want to stop every so often to count your stitches, I would count the double crochet rows, because you can kind of feel where those are a little bit easier. So I'm going to come to the last stitch here. So I'm going to start my double crochet, so I'll yarn over, insert my hook into the last stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, but I'm not going to complete the stitch because I'm going to add my next color. So I'll complete the last stitch with the new color, so I'll pull up a loop, and then this row is going to be all single crochet. So I'm going to start with a chain 1, and I'm going to do the same thing I did over here. I'm going to wrap my previous color into that chain, and then I'll turn. And you'll notice that your skeins are going to start getting a little bit tangled, so if you just kind of manage it every time you change colors, it shouldn't be a problem. So I'm going to do single crochets all the way across. Again, I'm just going to feel where this first stitch is, and then I'll slide my finger down and feel where the next stitch is. And the nice thing about this is once you kind of get the feel for it, you really don't need to look at your work too much. So if you want to watch TV while you're doing this, it works out really well. So I'm going to go to my last stitch here, and I'm going to start my single crochet by pulling up a loop, but I'm going to complete the single crochet with the new color. So what I want to do again is I want to tuck my old color into where I'm pulling up the next color. And then I'm going to, again, I'm going to do double crochet. We're just alternating single crochet, double crochet. And that's the whole pattern. So I'm going to do 2 chains with the new color. And again, I'm going to wrap the chain around the old color, and then I'll wrap it back the other way so that it's tucked inside my chain. And then I'll kind of move my skeins here so it doesn't get tangled, and I'll turn, and then I'll do my double crochet row. So here I am at my last stitch. I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook into that stitch, and you want to make sure that you're kind of, it's hard to see, you can't see it, but you'll be able to feel if you're grabbing one loop or two loops from the stitch below. So I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook, and pull up a loop. Next I'm going to, so I want the next part of the double crochet is to yarn over and pull through two. But before I do that, I want to take my old color from this row, which is going to be my next color, and I want to tuck it in to complete the first step of the double crochet. And then I'm going to complete the double crochet with the next color also while tucking the black into the blue. And then just like before, this is where your skeins get a little bit tangled up. So it's better to manage it before it gets out of control. So I'm going to do my chain 2, and again I'm going to wrap my old color into the chain, and then I'll wrap it back the other way into the second chain. And then I'll turn, and I'll do a row of double crochet. I'm sorry, that was double crochet. So I'm only doing one chain there. So we're just wrapping it through once. So it's alternating double crochet and single crochet. I'm just going to untangle that. Okay. So that was a chain 1, and then we'll single crochet all the way across. And then when we get to the end, remember we're not going to finish the last step of the last stitch. So we have 2 loops on the hook, and we're going to wrap the previous color. I'm going to bring it into the front so that it is tucked into the next color. And then I will wrap it back, chain 1, wrap it the other way, second chain, and then I'll do my row of double crochet all the way across. So when you're making the blanket, you can repeat this until you run out of yarn. I will put in the pattern exactly how many rows I did. And here is the finished blanket. Like I said, everybody in my house loved this blanket so much, even including the cats. So I will be making a few more of these for around the house. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.